Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. My name is Sarah and today I'm going to be talking about 10 reasons why you should read the GrishaVerse books and watch the Shadow and Bone series that is coming out on Netflix April 23rd, so this Friday. So when I say the GrishaVerse books, I mean the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. This also includes the King of Scars duology. Rule of Wolves, the second book in that duology, has just come out this month. However, I'm not going to be talking about those two books because I haven't read them yet. I've only read these 5. I have not read the King of Scars duology yet. Those two books also aren't going to be involved in the show right away because they do take place timeline-wise after at least the first trilogy. We also don't have a casting for the main character that duology is about yet. So I am instead just going to be focusing on these 5 books. All 7 of these books do take place all in the same world. That's why they're called the GrishaVerse books. However, this trilogy is the first in the whole world series, and then these 2 follow afterwards, and I think King of Scars kind of happens around the same time, if not after these 2. And so the series starts out with our first book, Shadow and Bone, where we follow our main character, Alina. She is a soldier and a map maker, and she one day discovers that she has the power to summon light, and with this discovery of this power, she's then whisked away to the castle and taught how to wield this power in hopes that she can defeat and break apart this thing called the Shadowfold, which is this shadowy, desolate area that has split the country in half and is filled with these creepy monsters that are wreaking havoc on anyone who tries to cross the Shadowfold. And that's where this whole world starts off, and that's the story of this trilogy. And then the Six of Crows duology starts with the first book, Six of Crows, and it follows a group of 6 ragtag criminals that are hired to perform a heist and extract a person from one of the most high security places in a different country. That's kind of the basic premise of this book, but there's a lot more to it. And so it starts with this, and then the next one is Crooked Kingdom. Like I said, this show does come out April 23rd. There's 2 main trailers out now. I will be linking both of them down below. If you're interested in checking them out, it's going to be out on Netflix. I just really love this series and this world a lot. I particularly love the Six of Crows duology, and I'm really, really excited for the show. I have really high hopes for what Netflix is going to be able to do with it, so I just wanted to kind of make a little video explaining why I think you should either read these books if you haven't already. I know a lot of BookTube has already read these books, but then also just explaining like why you should watch the show if you're not interested in reading the books. So I'm kind of just going to be talking in general terms across all 5 books, so that I don't really want to bring out any spoilers or anything too specific, and so just general 10 things that I think are really positive attributes about the story, and maybe things that people look for in books, and just reasons why you should read them. First reason is that these books have a very, very strong aspect of found family, especially in the Six of Crows duology. It's a very pivotal piece of the story. And the found family trope does come into play later on in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, more in the second and third books, but it is most apparent in the Six of Crows duology. Second reason is that I think Leigh Bardugo does a really phenomenal job writing female friendships. I think that there's not enough of that written in fantasy books in general. A lot of times I feel like either women are pitted against each other, or you've got a main female character, but she's either surrounded by guys, or she just doesn't have a very well fleshed out relationship with other women. And I think that having that fleshed out relationship allows to create a sense of depth to a strong female character. Many times strong female characters are written as very brash and tough, and they're not allowed a softer, more feminine side to themselves. And so I think having a female friendship allows for that kind of giggly, girlier side to come out and create a more well-rounded character. And so Leigh Bardugo does a really good job of writing a very well-fleshed-out female friendship between Inej and Nina, two of the main female characters in the Six of Crows duology, as well as between Alina and Genya, two characters in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Now, I do not want to hear any Genya slander. I love Genya, and I think I understand why people have a problem with her. However, if you still don't like her by the end of the trilogy, I think you really need to read the short story The Tailor, because it really provides a lot of context and background to why she does what she does in this story. And that short story can be found in most versions of Siege and Storm, the second book in the trilogy. And if you still have a problem with her after that, well, we're all allowed our own opinions, but I think that she's great, and I think that her friendship with Alina is really important to helping Alina's character grow, and I also just think Genya's a really important character, and she's got a really interesting story arc. Kind of segueing into my third reason, actually, is that there is a story arc of girl revenge, and especially in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, where one character who has been wronged and taken advantage of, she gets a really satisfying revenge on her perpetrator, and I think the repercussions of that is really interesting to explore. I just think that whole story arc was really heartbreaking. I really thought it was interesting how that got explored. My fourth point is that I really like how Leigh Bardugo took the time to kind of explore healthy versus unhealthy relationships and kind of putting your own personal needs first. The unhealthy versus healthy relationships is definitely explored when Alina kind of gets put in a love triangle, and then the kind of putting your own personal needs first is explored in Six of Crows with Kaz and Inej, where Inej kind of sets what she needs in a relationship on the table and how she's not going to accept any less because she knows what she deserves as a person. And I just think that those are really important things to have in a YA novel where you've got a lot of teenagers who are, you know, starting to get in their first relationships and stuff. And I think that having that sort of exploration for certain characters can be really important for both young men and women. So my fifth reason why I think you should read these books is that they have two of my all-time favorite characters. They're kind of comfort characters to me. You've got Inej, who is this really badass chick who is really recovering from some pretty serious trauma, but she's got this quiet strength to her where she's a very strong female character. She's not brash and loud like how many strong YA protagonists are written. She's got this kind of quiet wisdom and strength to her, and she is just loyal to the very end to all of her friends and everything. And I just have really loved her character, how she does like a lot of introspection of what she needs in life, where she wants to take her life, and just she's kind of the rock of the group that everybody leans on. So we've also got Nikolai, who comes in the second book of Siege and Storm, and he's a lot of people's favorites. He's hilariously funny. He's just kind of your typical charming, witty prince but he's less of like your bad boy or whatever, and he's more just like very wholesome, and he's extremely intelligent. He's got a lot of ingenuity, and I just really love how he's kind of like this inventor character while also being a prince, and he's got like all these different aspects to him that he hides under all these different masks. He's just a really fascinating character to read about, and his dialogue is top-notch. It's so funny. I've always really loved his dialogue, and he's just a really fun character when he gets introduced to the books. So my sixth reason is that this book has several morally gray characters. I am just like everybody else who loves your morally gray characters. I think that they can have a lot of depth and are really interesting if written correctly. In this case, you have some characters who appear morally gray and they just are straight out evil, and then you've got other characters who are genuinely morally gray, and really just doing the best they can to try to be a better person in kind of the only way they know how. But I think we've got several, and I think that they each take their own kind of different path in the story, and it's really interesting to see how their story arcs play out. Number 7 is mind games. If you love characters who kind of play this like mental chess with each other, and kind of try to outsmart and outwit each other, you will love the Six of Crows duology. That's a lot of what is involved in that story, especially between Kaz, kind of the ringleader of the Crows, and then the main antagonist in this story. They're constantly trying to be one step ahead of each other, and play this giant chess game in the city of Ketterdam, and it's just really fun to read about and to see how creative Bardugo gets with dropping hints and kind of giving you unexpected twists, and just kind of seeing how the battle of the minds between these two characters. Number 8 is that there are several different romance tropes that a lot of people on BookTube and Book Twitter really love. We've got enemies to lovers, we've got best friends to lovers, and we've also got the I hate everyone but you kind of a romance relationship going on. And I'm not gonna say who's who because spoilers, but I think that it's kind of got a trope for everybody in there. Number 9 is that these books kind of tackle more serious subjects such as immigration and discrimination. You have several characters who experience discrimination and other characters who have kind of an ingrained prejudice, and their story arcs involve them unlearning this prejudice and the struggle to grow out of this toxic mindset. And I think that there's a lot of just really interesting explorations of this type of discussion piece. And finally, number 10, we have body positivity in terms of weight and disfigurement. Now I know there's some controversy over Nina's character and how she was casted in the show. However, in the books she is plus sized but very comfortable in her own skin. And then we've got another character who undergoes a very brutal disfigurement and has to learn how to accept this about themselves and to love their body image again. We also have some representation for learning disorders such as ADHD and dyslexia. These specifically take place in the Six of Crows duology. I think that these were incorporated into the story really well. Particularly the character with dyslexia kind of went through a period of learning how to accept themselves and be okay with having this learning disorder. So I hope I convinced you to read these books or at least watch the show when it comes out, and I really appreciate you watching. I'd love to hear in the comments below if you have any specific things that you love about these books, if you have read them, if you haven't read them and you want to, if you're planning on watching the show, who your favorite character is, anything. I'd love to hear it. I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing, and I also hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!